Hey cookers, you ever get hungry and you eat a bowl of soup and then a few minutes later you're hungry again? Not today. I'm making a low carb, chunky chicken vegetable soup that will fill you up. We're cooking with Jill. Welcome to my kitchen. So I'm going to try to make this soup in 30 minutes. So I got the timer on the nuker set for 30 minutes. Let me hit start here. There it goes. So I've got my Ninja PossibleCooker Pro set on 450 and it's on bake and it has been preheating. You want that to happen while you're getting all your stuff out of the refrigerator because it takes a while for this thing to get hot. For me, this cart gets in the way of my refrigerator, so I have to get everything out. So while that was happening, this is preheating. So the first thing we're going to do is debone this chicken. And you need a good boning knife. This is a Ninja NeverDull knife. So always sharpen this before you use it. You just put it in the sharpener here. Run this back and forth a few times. And then press this lever. It comes right out. You also want to wipe it off after doing that. So these are chicken thighs with the bone in them. So I'm just going to cut along here like this. And generally this thigh bone comes out pretty quickly. You can come up here and just cut through those tendons and just follow that bone down like this. There we go. And then just trim around that knuckle. And there's a chicken thigh. Now, I like having the skin because the skin brings more fat and flavor to the meal. If you don't want to leave the skin on here, then just peel it off. But I like it. I'm going to save these chicken bones, put them in the freezer, and you get a collection of these things. You can make some good chicken broth. So I'm going to set these aside and let me get the rest of this chicken deboned. So once again, I usually just slice right down here, okay, and then I can just go along that bone like that. Then I usually come up here and just cut that tendon or ligament that's right there, and then just trim down the bone like this. And then once again, just cut around that knuckle. This blade is very sharp, so it makes that very easy. And then just come up here and trim. Look for a piece of cartilage that might be here. Sometimes you catch a little piece of cartilage. I think I got one right there. So I'm just going to trim that little piece of cartilage off. Okay, there's another one. And let's take this one here. Once again, come right down through here. And then come along here and just reveal that bone. I come up here, cut that little tendon. You always want to make sure you cut with the blade going away from your hand, okay? These knives are very, very sharp. They will cut you very, very quickly. Okay, I didn't get any cartilage there. I don't mind leaving a little meat on that bone because that'll be good for the soup. Okay, let's cut right down through here, exposing that bone, and just scrape that knife along the bone a little bit. Then I'll come up here and cut that tendon and ligament. Scrape that knife along the bone, just like that. Comes right off. And then I got a little bit right there. And then finally, come down here around this knuckle again. All right, well, that's a good bit of meat there. I'll just leave that there. And I'll set this aside. This is chunky soup, so we want this in pretty big chunks. Say like that. I mean, that's a good bite of chicken there. Now this sharp blade makes cutting this chicken very, very easy. I've had these NeverDull knives for about 5 years now, and I'm really happy with them. I mean, they never get dull. You just run it through that sharpener over there, and you're in good shape. Now I got a video that talks about how that sharpener works. I'll put a link to it up in the corner of the screen up there so you can see it. Like I said, I'm going to leave the fat in here. You can remove it. Why am I using chicken thighs rather than chicken breast? Well, the problem with chicken breast is, one, they tend to dry out. After the meat's cooked for a while, that chicken breast just gets dry and tough, where the thighs keep their moisture in them and they stay juicy. And then taking that a step further, I think they just taste better than breast meat. That's just my personal opinion. I think that microwave's actually microwaving there instead of timer for the time, but we're still going to get 30 minutes out of it. All right, so I've kept this hand clean. Let's take this off here. All right, this is 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. I like to use avocado oil because it handles the heat much, much better. I need to wash my hands first. Give me a second. I like using the avocado oil rather than olive oil because it handles the heat better. You could use olive oil. So this is my seasoning blend that I use on just about everything. It's equal parts salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. And I just want to sprinkle this right on this chicken. Pretty generously. And then this here is some poultry seasoning. This is 4 teaspoons of thyme, 3 teaspoons of sage, and 2 teaspoons of rosemary. You can put some marjoram in there if you want. And I'm just going to lightly sprinkle that there. And now I just want to mix this up and let that chicken get that seasoning all over it. Oops, get some of that there. All right, I'm going to put this meat in here. I want to brown and sear this meat nicely. It'll add a rich flavor to the chicken, to the soup. So let that get in there. I'm going to wash this knife, my hands, and this cutting board. I'll be right back. Let's take a look at this dead bird. Yeah, that's got a little bit of sear on it. Let that continue to do its job. So while that's happening, we want to chop up some vegetables. Let's get the celery in here first. So this is chunky soup, so I don't normally leave my celery in big chunks, but that's what we're trying to do here, is make this celery chunky. Let's put it back on this plate for the time being. That is like 4 or 5 stalks of celery right there. And that should be fine. And then, once again, we're going for some chunky. Let me cut up the onions here. And then, not real small pieces, but not huge either. So, let's come down here. Okay, let me just put that right on top of the celery. Let's stir this dead bird just a little bit. There we go. My chicken is browning up. Give it a few more minutes. Cut that in half. Take that down there. Now, I'm going to put the celery and the onion in there. Yeah. See, that relish there, it adds a nice rich flavor to chicken soup. I love celery or relish or whatever you want to call it. I always put some of that in my chicken soup that I'm making. Now, I am going to put this lid on here and let that steam up a little bit. My next victim are these carrots. So let me open this up. And you know, how many carrots, how many onions, how much relish you use is up to you on what you're trying to get done. So I think carrots add a nice flavor to soup as well. I'm not a big fan of cooked carrots, but I like that extra dimension they add to soup. So I'm leaving these in pretty big chunks here. Let's put these carrots down in there. Let that go. So now, let's work on the bean greens. I'm not going to put all these bean greens in here, or green beans. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash about half of these in my colander over here, and then we'll play with them a bit. Alrighty. There they are. So what you want to do is just go through here and trim off any stems like that one that was there, and just sort through them real quick. Okay, there's another one. And then what I want to do is, these bean greens are pretty long to be eating with a spoon, so I'm just gonna cut them up in size pieces like that. Now, you could use frozen green beans in this if you want, but you certainly don't want to use canned green beans in this. So let's put these in here. So let's give these vegetables and chicken a stir. That's hot. Yeah, see, those onions are starting to get a little translucent. That's what we want. Let's let that go. I'm going to put the lid back on here. All right. We only got 10 minutes left, and I don't see this happening in a total of 30 minutes. All right, give me a second here. We're going to use cauliflower. Now, cauliflower is nice here because it will fill you up. It'll cook quickly, but it doesn't have all the starch that potatoes and noodles have. So let me rinse this off real quick. Now, just trim that off. I just want to cut these florets out here. I want these in decent sized pieces, but they don't have to be too big. There we go. Ain't that pretty? All right. So those green beans are starting to look good. Those carrots are looking good. Let's let this simmer and see how it goes. So you might ask, why haven't I put water in the cooker yet? Because these vegetables are actually steaming in the juices here. And steam cooks faster than boiling water. So let's take this out. That smells good. That smells really good. So what I'm going to do now, those vegetables need some more flavoring on them. So I'm taking my seasonings again. So this is that poultry seasoning mix. I'm going to put about a half a tablespoon of that in there. Okay, give those vegetables a chance to cook with that sage and thyme and a little bit of rosemary in there. And then this here is like just comfort food. This salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of that in there. That might be a little bit too much. We'll see. And now I just want to stir all this up. There we go. All that seasoning's on them vegetables. And let's let that, put the lid back on there. So my 30 minutes are up. This is not ready yet. I'm going to set that timer back at 30 minutes and let's see how much extra time it takes. I don't think we got too much longer. You can smell that poultry seasoning and that onion and garlic coming out. Yeah, look at that. That's looking really good. Those carrots are starting to cook a bit. I'm going to put this lid back on here. So that chicken thigh, that meat is still juicy and it's not going to dry out in here. If we were using breast meat, that breast meat would start to dry out and be tough, where the chicken thigh is not going to be that way. Alrighty, so we're 5 minutes into overtime. Let's take a look at this. That's looking pretty good. Let me grab one of these carrots because that's really what I'm most worried about. And let's see how tough that carrot is. Oh, that carrot's done. So that's good. So let's put some water in here. So we're going to put hot water in here. Look, you know, this steam's just coming up out of here. It looks really good. Now I want you to look down in here. See that there? That's a good base for flavor. Lots of seasoning, lots of chicken flavor down in there. And I'm going to put some, there's 2 cups of hot water. Probably going to put about 6 cups of hot water in here. There's 6 cups of hot water. I think I'm going to make it 8. There we go. Now that looks nice and rich. I'm going to add this cauliflower to it. Stir that up. So that cauliflower should cook pretty quickly. I just want this to come to a boil and then we'll check out the cauliflower. That piece there is just a little too big. Let me take that out and cut that up a little. There we go. So I'm going to let this come to a boil. That cauliflower would just cook in a few minutes. We're almost done with this. All right, so that second 30 minutes is about up. This is just now coming to a boil. So we're going to wrap this up pretty soon here. Let me just take a little piece of this cauliflower out here. That cauliflower needs to cook just a couple more minutes. I'm going to put another 30 minutes on the timer, but this is almost done. But tasting that, I learned something. We are going to need to put some chicken bouillon in there. And that's really up to you. How you want that flavor to be. I like it rich. I like a lot of chicken bouillon. So this is a big 2-pound jar of chicken bouillon that I bought at Aldi's for like $5. What a deal. And it lasts forever. So we put 8 cups of water in there. So every cup, you should put a teaspoon of bouillon in there. And so we already got some chicken flavor and stuff in there. So every tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of bouillon in there. So let's see. There's 1. There's 2. Now, you do this to taste, whatever flavor you prefer. Let's give this about 4 or 5 more minutes and it'll be about done. Now, if you know anybody who would be interested in a low-carb, chunky chicken vegetable soup, share this video with them. Look at this steam coming out of here. This thing's boiling well. Share this video with them. This is going to turn out great. So what I'm going to do is, I've got some parsley here. There we go. More about yay much parsley. And I'm just going to rough chop some of this parsley up here. And this parsley is going to give it a nice earthy flavor, maybe a little more. Smells good. It should go well with that sage and thyme and rosemary that's in there. So this should be done. I'm just going to unplug it. That turns it off. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just put this parsley in here. Okay. And then this is baby spinach. And I'm going to put some of this baby spinach in here. It should give it a nice flavor between the parsley and the spinach. That's about how much I want in there. And this parsley and spinach will just kind of wilt down and have a nice texture and flavor to this soup. And look at those colors. Look at that. That just looks outrageously delicious. Yeah, that cauliflower's done. You can see by the color of it. So I clean as I cook. That's one of the things I try to do. Karen appreciates that. I'm not always as effective as I should be. Yeah, that looks good. I think it's time to ladle this up. I got these silicone utensils off of Amazon. I think they cost me like $25 or so. They do great. They kind of match the color of my kitchen and the cabinets and everything. And they never scratch or hurt my Ninja cookware whatsoever. So let's take a look at this. Looky there. That relish and them carrots and them green beans and chicken. Let's get some of that broth in there. Now tell me that don't look good. We got those carrots and green beans and chicken and everything in here. I'm gonna take a bite of this. I know this is going to be pretty hot. That is really good. For me, I probably want a little more chicken bouillon in it myself. Now, what are some takeaways from this? One, I should have had a pot of water boiling on the stove. So when it came to add water to this, I didn't have to take 30 minutes for that water to come back up to a boil. 8 cups of water in a crock pot takes a little while to come up. And second, you can get a nice filling, low-carb soup very easily. And doing all this in the Ninja PossibleCooker Pro, it's all in one pot. It tastes really good. So there'll be a video for other Ninja PossibleCooker Pro recipes at the end of this thing. Click on that. Y'all have fun. Want some more of that chicken. Just delicious.